The door creaked open, frozen. Her jaw almost hung open at the view. His dark charcoal eyes resting in a boardway while he slightly glared at and his long wet hair locks falling down on his forehead shading his dark gaze and glare. His left arm rests on the doors with leaning on it, while he only has a towel wrapped around his waist, shoulders glistening with drops of water, his perfectly tanned skin looking tempting. And eyes travels down to the line on his abdomen and the hard rock abs like they want to see more. Before Anne can utter anything, her eyes collided with his as she noticed the changed look in his eyes. Then a few seconds before, his eyes dig holes into her skin. As they travel down from her orbs to down and down, she noticed the clench on his jaw as his muscles tenses. She don't know what to say? Then with her shaking voice she said, "Hello." She forced her throat to pull something out and bowed as she passed a soft smile, while he stood there still eyeing her figure, making her feel so much intimidated by his dark, deep gaze. His eyes rolls down and stops at her waist as they moves more down to her legs, which are covered, thinking thanks God to the clothes I'm wearing, but still it literally feels like he can see through her clothes. Her throat went dry, and it feels like nothing can come out of her throat. She nervously shifted on her standing figure and again forced herself. "Hey, I think I should wait outside."
Did I told you to?
His voice came out rough and husky. His dominant aura makes her want to curl herself in a ball and hide somewhere away from him. His deep husky voice sounds whiskey. His eyes locked with her as he continued to keep the poker face. His folded arms hangs loosely as he moves away from the door and walks out towards her. She looked here and there only to avoid staring at his perfectly built body in the damn view or to his dark gaze of his coal eyes, which can burn any time.
Don't you have a boyfriend to care about more than this marriage?
She stood frozen as she shifted her gaze from ground to him, shaking my head uncomfortably. "No, I don't have that."
No, just wanted to make sure.
He sounded too confident, like he knows much more than just her relationship status. He tilted his head to the side and she was damn sure she saw an emotionless small smirk play on his lips as he sits down on the edge of the bed with his legs spread wide and his thighs just doubled in size.
Come here.
She furrowed her eyebrows up confusingly.
I said come here.
She hesitated and took small steps towards him. He and she were a few steps away. She stopped contemplating. His brows slightly pinches together, the dim lighting highlighting his littlest movements and flexes. A shiver of afraid of him runs down to her spine. The brand new highlight of him of the yesterday flashes through her mind. The CEO of Busan's famous and well-known company was murdered mercilessly between the forest. And the most worldwide suspect is one and only Taehyung. Since the bullet shot on the culprit's right, I had the famous print K in it. She fiddled with her fingers out of nervousness. Gazing at his sharp eyes, it's too terrible to think he is the same person who murders people, sitting calmly in front of her a few feet away in the same room as she. He didn't utter anything, but keep looking at her with such a gaze that made her step forward again. And she can smell him better. The beer and alcohol, something like that. He sighs as his hands move from his thighs to the bedsheet as he leans back and tilts his head, getting a clear view of her, making her heart beat louder than ever.
Sit.
She glanced at the edge of the bed beside him, but thought it would be better to sit a little away from him. Moving away from him, but she heard a mad low growl.
On my lap.
She almost choked on her breath, shooting her head up to his with her widened ones. "Excuse me?" Before she can even express her shock, his large big hand's knuckles wraps around wrist and pull all over him. She crashed against his hard rock body as his face got buried on her chest. Both fell backwards on the bed, Gasping with open mouth, she grasped the bed sheets when she felt her chest pressed on his face. "What are you doing, Dad?" She tried to pull herself away, but his big two arms wraps around her waist, pulling her closer as his palms holds the sides of her hips, pushing her down on his lap. She used her strength and moved away from the crook of his neck and locked eyes with his. They travels on her cleavage with amusement present in his eyes. A chuckle left his lips. And breathing goes uneven when suddenly, he attaches his nose on her cleavage and presses deep inside, almost taking her by even more surprise. As he inhales deeply and exhales his hot breath there, and she don't know why, but her nipples turn hard.
Fuck, you smell good.
Her body finally reacts when his hands moves up to the buttons of her purple blouse. He effortlessly undid the first one. She jerked his arm away from her waist and stood up, fixing her posture and palu. With still her heavy breathing and a pounding heart, with disbelief, she pushed the hair strings off of her face. He chuckled again, straightening up on the bed, and screamed, "I'm not those types of girls you may have fucked," she uttered with a bit of bitterness, pointing her index up at him. His eyes went into a dangerous glare and the pinch between his eyebrows gone deeper. He turned furious, and she noticed the heavy breathing of his. She started to back away from him, realizing her words and tone with her eyes fixed on his figure. She rushed around and almost runs towards the main door. Even when she looked strong and mad, the reality is she terrified of him and the things he just did.
Wrong move, Kim Yoo-sin.
I'm your husband. I mean soon to be. You have to eve yourself to me anyways.
She froze on her way. "That's true, how can I forget it? I can't reject this," she said. "Marriage or else. No, no, no. I have to do something." Ah. A painful hiss left her lips as a strong grip on her hips, and she back met with his hard chest. Ah. His left hand moved up and painfully groped her clothed breasts, squeezing and smashing on his big palm as his left arm wraps around her hips.
You're so fucking tempting.
He breathed near her ear, his right hand grabbing her left one like he is memorizing the size, and she should be mad and disgusted. But heat rises up to her cheeks, and her stomach did a flip. Maybe because she have never been complimented this way, so touched like this was far away. He pushed her on the door as he pressed himself on her back. She arched her back at the way he massages her breasts. She have never felt this way. His warm lips presses against her neck, making her slightly let out a whimper. Ah. Her hands clutches and moves up on the doors wood, making a tight fist, and she closed her eyes tightly. Fuck, goosebumps erupted all over her forearms. Suddenly, the grabbing turned to a push, and she realized that his palm has now entered inside her bra, since he gave a big squeeze, like he wanted her to know he is touching her right skin to skin. Ah. She bit her lips to stop the voice from coming out, but failed miserably when he gave her open-mouthed kisses all over her neck, while giving soft sucks in between. Cause he held her hips and presses himself in her back and slightly grinded on her from the back, while groaning and grunting, and cheeks flushed with redness, her hands and legs shivering. His big palm left her hips and held her underarm, rubbing sensually her arms. He moved to her clutching fists and held them in his.
Turn around.
She shook her head as a no. How can I show him my face? She thinking, after moaning and hissing embarrassingly, after rejecting him just few minutes ago, saying, "I'm not like other girls." He may have fucked.
Fucking turn around, Yoo-sin.
The way he played her name on his lips made her shiver. She looked down before he forced her to turn around to face him. Fully turned to him, she closed her eyes, shut out of embarrassment. A peck lands on her cleavage, taking her by surprise as she opened her eyes. Looking down, she found him pushing her blouse down to his view as he pushed her breasts upwards and kissed them from the top, making her squirm. She closed her mouth shut, preventing the sounds from coming out. His gaze never left her body. He smirks.
They're sensitive, aren't they? Fuck it. I'll rip it off.
He says, pointing down at her heaving up and down tits. He roars as he held the buttons of her blouse roughly as he torn it off and slid them down her arms and gazed at the black bra she's wearing. She didn't expect him to look up at her, but he did, and bites his bottom lip, making her even more red, and she thinking, he is a fucking Greek god. The way he is handling me, the way he went on manipulating me onto this says it all. He held the clip of her bra, opening it hurriedly as he pushed it wide open. She looked away from his face out of the heat and embarrassment she's feeling. A sudden suck on her left nipple made her completely go insane, the way his lips wraps around her nipple, tugging and sucking by his warm mouth. She arched her back and gasped hard. The way he rolled his warm tongue over and over. Her hands run on its own, going to his hair locks. She pushed them back and pulled him more in towards her. She don't know why, but she just did it. His arms wraps tightly around her as he sucks and gives a sudden bite harder onto her nipple. His right hand played with her other blossom, squeezing her breasts and then taking her nipple between his index and middle, pinching it teasingly. Ah. She closed her mouth shut to prevent the sounds from coming out at the sudden hard bite he did on her nipple, but he somehow noticed cause.
No one louder. I want to hear them.
He commands with a glare as he pulls away from her breasts with a pop, and they shine with his saliva. His left hand grabs her thigh up and presses his bottom on her entrance and grinds, making her feel so much at the time. His hard length touching her thighs, the thin material of his towel didn't help much. And his eyes locks together again as he lets out and curse, watching her all fucked out, our running breeds hitting each other's face. His arms wraps around her waist, and he pulls her up from the ground like her weight nothing as he hurriedly makes our way towards his bed. And not even a second passes by, she was on the soft mattress laid on her back while breathing heavily. He hover over her figure, his big body leans onto hers, his thick thighs cages her in between as he rests his palm on the sides of her head, his hungry, lusty eyes speaking everything to her. And then it hit her. What I am doing, she said to herself. He bends his head down again, going in between her breasts, but she cupped his face with both of her hands and stood him softly away with embarrassment coating her face. He stared back at her with the confusion written on his face with a glint of anger. She said with shaking voice, "Sorry, I'm still a virgin," and he freezed on top of her as she looked anywhere but him while controlling her heavy breathing. A few minutes we stayed that way, until she felt him moving as he straightened up and got off of the bed, and she straightened up too, hooking her bra back on. As she glanced at his way, standing in front of the dressing table, he pulled out some clothes, probably for himself, as she stand up and made her way towards her blouse laying on the ground. She felt bad, she don't know why, but there's a slight disappointment in herself after what happened. She tried to wear it back, but she noticed the torn-off buttons of her blouse. She nibbled onto her bottom lip.
Here.
She startled and turned around as she found him looking into his phone as he is holding a sweatshirt and probably shorts with them. She hesitantly took it in her hands from him as he didn't sword her a glance. Thank you.
Stay here from now on. My eyes bulge out.